Number 39 here in chapter 3 is just asking us for naming, nomenclature. And so we have a couple of ionic compounds, and we have to give the name for each one. And so for part A, we're looking at SNO. And so SN stands for tin, and oxygen, being the nonmetal, would be oxide. So remember, we write our metal first, and then our nonmetal second, and we have that IDE suffix change for the nonmetal. Not only do we have that, but we also have to specify, in this case, the charge of the tin. Remember, the charge of the tin is either +2 or +4. And so we have to specify that in the naming. Since the charges cancel out, that means that we're not talking about tin 4, we're talking about tin +2. Since our oxygen is -2, that means our tin must be +2. And so using the stock system, we would have tin 2 oxide. If we were to use the Latin nomenclature, we would say that this is stannous oxide. Again, the OUS is indicating the lower positive charge for our tin. If it was tin +4, it would be stannic. If it's tin +2, it would be stannous. So as far as naming, you can use either the stock system to have tin 2 oxide, or you could use the Latin system and have stannous oxide. Part B is looking at Cr2S3. And so this is another type of metal that has more than one possible charge. And so we would name this using the stock system. First we have our metal, chromium. Then we have to indicate its charge. We'll come back to that in a second. And then we have our nonmetal, and in this case it would be sulfide because of that IDE suffix change. Sulfur is just like oxygen, it's in group 6, so that means it has a -2 charge. And so that means our chromium would have to be +3 in order for the charges to cancel out. And so that's why we would have the Roman numeral 3. So for part B, this will be chromium 3 sulfide. This is one type of transition metal that we do not need to know the Latin root for. Part C is RBI. If we look up what Rb is on the periodic table, that's rubidium. That is our metal, and then iodine would be our nonmetal. Rubidium is a group 1 metal, so it's always +1, so we don't need to use the stock system. We can just simply say rubidium iodide, and know from its placement on the periodic table that the rubidium would be +1 and the iodide would be -1. Part D is looking at BaBr2. We look up Ba on the periodic table and we have barium. Barium is a group 2A metal, and so it always has a +2 charge on it. Br is a group 7A halide, so it always has a -1, so we don't need to use any type of Latin or any type of stock system. We can just say barium bromide. That is number 39.